Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Crumpest Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. Say, man, if you don't know by now, I'm the great one, the 5-star general. Look like folks is up in arms because Sean King is living in a lakeside little mini mansion. But the question is, should activists get paid for what they do? And should we be in their business? Let's talk about it, man. Say, man, I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone and tell you thank you for taking the time out to tune in, because you know without you guys, I wouldn't have a show. So I appreciate you taking the time out to tune in and talk to me. We're going to start it off by saying that Joe Biden has extended the rental moratorium. That means you good people still have some flexibility when it comes to being able to pay your rent if you've not been able to pay your rent. And, hopefully you can get back on track. Now, what you can't do is you can't continue to sit there and think that they're going to keep extending this. You got to put yourself in a position to where you're not really racking your brain on this thing, and you can actually get ahead of it, man, because the United States of America is not going to keep holding these people off, to collect rent. And I'm gonna be honest with you, some people, you're milking it, and I get it. I mean, sooner or later we should get something out the deal, but you can't keep thinking that this is gonna go on forever. So, today Joe Biden extended the moratorium. Live from Washington, D.C., State Representative Ron Reynolds and Congressman Al Green went to jail doing what they call a peaceful protest. I don't know the dynamics of it, but let me tell you something. If you believe in something and you want to stand up for it, then I'm all for that. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, white, black, Asian, don't matter to me. You feel what I'm saying? Does not matter to me. I believe in people standing up for what they believe in. And sometimes in this fight, especially this fight for equality, you may have to go to jail. You may have to go to jail in order for African Americans to get what we've gotten in this country over the years. We either had to fight for it or we had to die for it. So, even though we might be on opposite sides of the ball with voter fraud and voter integrity, Ron is still a good friend of mine. And kudos to you, my friend, for standing up what you believe in. And if you got to go to jail, then, you got to go to jail. And that's all it boils down to. But he's all right now. He's out of jail from what I understand. And it is what it is at that point. There's a big firestorm going on. People posted pictures of Sean King's house. Hold on a second. Let's see if we can get a picture of it. We're gonna see if we can get a picture of his house. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. We should be able to get a good picture of it. Hold on. Let's see. We're pulling it up. I'm pulling it up for you guys. The question is, should activists get paid? Should activists make money off of the actual, fight of activism? I'll tell you this, that it's a tough fight. It is a big tough fight, and some days you got to leave it on the floor. When you're in the middle of that fight, you have to leave it on the floor when you're in the middle of that fight. But the question now becomes, should people question where activists get their money from? Should they question that? where they get their money from. They say Sean lives in an $842,000 5-bedroom home. So now we'll show you a picture of it. Let's put up Sean's house and we're gonna have this discussion. Let's go here. Let's go here. So this is Sean's house. And you have some people who are saying it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what Sean does. He deserves to live wherever he wants to live. He deserves to live wherever he wants to live. And that is true. I totally agree that he deserves to live wherever he wants to live. But at the same time, the question is how do you get this money? Now, some people may say, well, you shouldn't question how he got the money. Well, it just depends. It just depends, because if you're out getting money and you're using the names of people that have passed away, you're using their situation like George Floyd, Eric Garner. If you're using these people's names and you're making money that way, then that is a problem for me. Now, it may not be a problem for you, but it's a problem for me. I'm grassroots all day. I'm grassroots, but I started a consultation company to be able to help my community. And some assignments I do pro bono. I got a big one going on right now, pro bono. I'm not charging people a dime, but most of my assignments are paid assignments that it is what it is. You got to pay me. And it costs money to fight this fight. But I mean, he's been accused of using the situation with Tamir Rice. His mom went off on him. Went off on him for using her child's death as a means to line his pockets. And the thing is, he's also had some other trouble, according to media sources back in the days, of people questioning, his money. I could straddle, I got to kind of straddle a fence on this one, y'all. And I normally don't straddle that much because I'm never going to use somebody's death to profit. I'm not going to do it. That's just me. There was, matter of fact, I had a talk with a client yesterday out of Louisiana who were dealing with some people in Louisiana that I told them from an activism side, you need to watch them. I didn't say don't work with them, but you need to watch them because they're going to want to make you build GoFundMes and all this stuff to get money and all that. Well, mom comes back because it's a kid-related issue, and I'm not going to say the kid's name or mom's name. Mom comes back. We talking yesterday, and she say, you were right about everything. They tried to get me to build a GoFundMe. They tried to do this. They tried to do that. And now that it's not working the way that it should have worked, she can't get them on the phone anymore. Well, I said, I told you they was in it from the money. They were in it for the money from day one. You see what I'm saying? If you're going to go out there and you're going to fight for social justice and all the stuff like that, then it is what it is. So if you're out there and you're saying, well, I'm doing this from my heart, then let it be from your heart. But if you're going to put a price tag on it, put a price tag from the gate. Like me, I do uniforms and jerseys. I didn't do this one. Somebody else did this for me. Thank God. And did a great job on my jerseys, but I do t-shirts and different things like that. And of course, I went to Yates where George Floyd went to Yates, and everybody like, man, when you gonna make some t-shirts? I'm not. I haven't made one George Floyd t-shirt. Monroe, you could make a killing. That's just it. I don't want to make a killing off of a killing. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to use George's situation to line my pockets. And a lot of people have done that in the activism world, not just George, Breonna Taylor, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice. They've used these people to make money. And that is a problem right there. That is a problem. Because if you went in genuinely from the gate, you know what I'm saying? then it shouldn't have been about the money later. But as you can see with the people that's over Black Lives Matter, all of a sudden they got all these $1 million mansions. Well, what has Black Lives Matter done for the Black community? Nothing. Nothing. Now, some people say Sean is a fraud. I have my issues with Sean on a major case that was in Harris County that he tried to take credit for, and it was all somebody else, and I gave the information out that they told me to give out. It wasn't him. You see what I'm saying? And then when he got caught up in it, he wouldn't, clean it up. But I wasn't going to fight with him, and I still have the emails to prove what actually happened. So some people call him a fraud. The question is, do you think he's a fraud? Do you think it's wrong to profit off of people's deaths and line your pockets and actually get to live in a house like this? Now, some people would say there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, I feel you. But to a certain degree, there is. There is something wrong with it. Now, even though we've had our little run-in, that doesn't make me, dislike Sean in any way. Now, I don't know Sean like that. I have no reason to dislike Sean for any reason. Not Gary Monroe. I don't have a reason to dislike him. But I will say that when it's all said and done, there are major questions about some of these people that are out there. And Jamarcus Owens said he's no different than Al Sharpton. And I don't think he on the level of Brother Al, because, Al has been proven to be an FBI informant. And Al is somebody that I would never line up with. It's not going to happen. Not the FBI thing, but because he doesn't do anything, he's not genuine to our community. He's in it for what he's in it for. And that's a prime example of folks having that spotlight on them, and yet they're not doing anything for the community. I'm more in tune with saying I'm not a fan of those who defraud the community. You feel what I'm saying? Those who, at the end of the day, they're not doing anything for our community. So Al Sharpton is definitely somebody that I would never line up with. I would never line up with Jesse Jackson. That's just me. I would never do it. For those that do, God bless you. If that's what you believe in, somebody that doesn't do anything for us, and because he's older now and we need to thank him for what he did, well, what has he done? What has he done? I want to know what has he done. So should he get paid for what he does? If you go into the game a certain way, don't dial this number over here unless you understand that I'm an advocate and I run a firm, a small firm. And if you want me to do certain things, and okay, well, let's sign a contract. This is what I charge, and it is what it is. Advocacy and activism are two different things. That's where we get it confused. I run an advocacy agency. I'm an advocate. I run an advocacy agency. So advocates get paid between $25 to $75 per hour. Now, I don't charge people that. Let's get that straight. I don't. Our money different than everybody else's money. So I don't do that. But coming through the gate, it's up to me if I want to work for free. I believe that a lot of advocates and activists should charge. They should charge because they shouldn't have to die broke for all the work that they do. You feel what I'm saying? They busting their behinds, they working, they're away from their families. Man, this thing here some days it takes you completely out the flow of what you do on a daily basis. You don't have a life some days. You feel what I'm saying? You don't have a life some days. So is Sean King a fraud because he has this big old house? And someone Rontrail put up, the man said his wife worked hard for 20 years to get an FHA loan to buy the home. So let's go over here and let's look at this article real quick. Let's see if we can pull up this article. This is Sean's house. This is Sean's house. This is the back of Sean's house. You feel what I'm saying? This is the inside of Sean's house. I'm giving you exclusive photos. And it's modest to me. It's not over the top. It's a modest home. It's not over the top. So let's look at this. In June, the mother of Tamir Rice, a black 12-year-old. Okay, let me go back. I didn't show y'all. Okay, let's go back because bear with your boy, man. Let's look at Sean's house and then we'll read this article. All right. So this is the front of Sean's house. You guys can see that. That's the front of his house. Okay. Let's look at the back of his house. This is the side and the back of his house. As you can see, the aerial view of his home. And it's not like it's a mega mansion like, some of these people that's out here. It's a modest home. And it looks very well kept and it's off the chain. I mean, this is nice. It was purchased for $842,000, which is higher than the estimated median home value in New Brunswick, which is $341,000. So as you can see, it's a modest home. So let's read this. In June, the mother of Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old who was shot and killed by a white police officer in Cleveland in 2014, took to Instagram to blast King for profiting off her son's death and brand him an imposter. The post came shortly after King, who raised as much as $60,000 for Tamir's family after his death without their consent. Right there. If nobody asked you to raise any money, why are you out there raising money in the name of whomever, whether it be Tamir Rice, whoever? That's where your problems come in at. All right? That's where your problems come in at. Now let's keep going. And why do you think it's so important to tell folks we had a conversation? Rice asked King in her Instagram post, which was captioned, "For anyone that wants to know the truth." Well, we talked and everything you said was very toxic and uncomfortable for me to hear that you raised additional money and then say that you did not want to bother me. So if you raised the money, who did you raise it for? You see what I'm saying? What you mean you don't want to bother her? You're raising money in the name of a child. Okay, well, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Personally, I don't understand how you sleep at night. I never gave you permission to raise a thing. Along with the United States, you robbed me for the death of my son. Now, this is my friend, Tamir Rice. This is more pictures of Sean's home. Modest. Looks like a real nice Airbnb. As you can see. Okay. Whoever was able to get there and get these pictures this is great. Okay, hold on. Let's go in here. Let's keep going. Tamir Rice was shot and killed by Timothy Loman, a 26-year-old white officer in Cleveland on November 22nd, 2014, while he was carrying a toy gun. His death quickly made national and international news and sparked outrage across the country. Shortly after his death, King held an online fundraiser for Rice's family, but the attorneys for the family said at the time they had not spoken to King and did not know who he was. Y'all tell me, why are you raising money for a family that doesn't even know you? So was it 70,000? Was it 170,000? Was it 2 million? Some days you'll never know the answer to that. So let's go back. The court then seized the money on behalf of the family. The Washington Post reported in 2015 and set up a trustee to manage the funds, placing all money into Tamir's estate, meaning that any withdrawal would require a judge's ruling. So rather than being gifted the money directly, the Rice family would have to apply for disbursement. In the blog post accompanying his podcast episode, first released in June, King said that he and Rice spoke about the issue. It was a much needed conversation, he wrote. I learned a lot, listened a lot, shared my heart, and pledged we would continue to fight to get justice and accountability for Tamir. He said he was shocked that Rice knew who he was. as he went to spend the past few months trying to reach her through civil rights leader Opal Tometi and through the families of Oscar Grant and Philando Castile in an attempt to hear from her directly and answer questions that she might have. Okay, we skipped, so let's go back. Okay. He said she was aware that he tried to reach out to her, and then she spoke for a good 20 minutes about her pain, her frustrations, her questions, and her struggles. Now, knowing Miss Rice, which I know Samira Rice, she don't cut no corners when she talk. You see what I'm saying? Samira Rice don't play no games, not about anything, let alone play games about Tamir. So she acknowledged that she was aware that I had written articles about Tamir across the years and had raised money for her family. But it was in that part of the conversation that I truly came to understand a central mistake that I had made with her. For the past 7 years, I have left Samira Rice alone. As a general rule, when a family impacted by police violence asks for help with fundraising or advocacy, I do it not only with no questions asked, but I do it with zero expectations from the grieved family. But in this case, nobody asked you. You went and did that on your own. Okay. Ultimately, I learned that Rice didn't even know most of what I had done for her, and that's my fault, and I'll never let that happen again. But Rice had a completely different recounting of the events on her Instagram post, saying she gave her a cop and donut conversation. All lies, Sean. Please stop thinking we're on the same page. As a white man acting black, you are an imposter that cannot be trusted. My son was 12 years old, and the Department of Justice needs to reopen his case, period. Tamir's human rights were violated. Who would you so ever make it about you? You're a selfish, self-centered person, and God will deal with you, white man. King had previously said that he had been told by the mother that the white man on his birth certificate is not the biological father and that the actual father is a light-skinned black man. None of that matters to me, whether he's black or white. But as you can see, there were some discrepancies in the story. And when you think about it, and I know Samira Rice, I've stood next to Samira Rice. I've laughed with Samira Rice. You know, Samira does not play games about her child. And if you're going to put her child's name in your mouth, it better be the right way. That's the mama that don't play. You see what I'm saying? That's the mama that don't play. So for her to say that, somebody disrespected the legacy of Tamir Rice to his mom. And that's the problem. You people get out there and act like you're fighting for social justice. You act like you getting down for the community. You feel what I'm saying? But in all actuality, y'all out there for that money, man. You out there it's okay to raise money. It's okay to crowdfund. You may have to crowdfund to pay for your expenses while you're somewhere. I've done it. You feel what I'm saying? But for that lady to be that angry, and I've never known her to lie about anything dealing with Tamir. Anything. Now, Mr. Monroe, do you know Samira Rice? Yes, I know Samira Rice. I know Samira Rice. I've marched with her. I've stood with her. You see what I'm saying? It is what it is. I was in Cleveland with Samira Rice. And if you're going to deal with her child in any capacity, whether even though he's not here, you're going to answer to Samira Rice. This is, and remember, we had Samira on the show. You see what I'm saying? We had Samira on the show, and she didn't cut no corners then. A lot of these people are just in this game for what they're in this game for, which is just to make money. And they'll make money off Tamir. They made tons of money off George Floyd. You feel what I'm saying? They made tons of money off George Floyd. Tons of money. And nobody wants to answer for it. You see what I'm saying? Let me show you. George's sister, the one that be on TV with the short haircut, the one that was upset about the actual sentence of Derek Chauvin. She didn't go to whatever. Well, this lady, I had no clue, used to work at the voting polls with me. Got her number in my phone right now. She used to go to the voting polls with me. And think about it. George Floyd, I knew his sister. You know what I'm saying? I knew his sister. All of that. You feel what I'm saying? And that would have been the perfect opportunity for me to get off in the game and make a ton of money off George. You feel what I'm saying? That would have been the perfect opportunity for me to get in the game and make a ton of money off of George Floyd, because I know his sister, the one that did not go to the sentencing. And her life was not all that good. And I tried to make sure that when I was at the polls that she always worked. And I would make sure that if I had something, she had it. Now, because I did that, and knowing George is a brother, at the time I didn't know, but now I know that George is a brother. Why didn't I take advantage of that situation? Because it was never in me to take advantage of that situation. And I refuse. I don't give a damn how good I make shirts and how well I do whatever. I would never, make money off the death of somebody. And a lot of y'all, especially in Houston, some of y'all I know, y'all wrong for that, bro. So should activists get paid? I think that they should. If a high school kid coming out of high school can go to college and get paid now, the activists need to get paid. And you want activists to go out and bust their behinds for free. But what they're doing actually costs money. It's not like somebody's giving these activists millions and millions of dollars to be out here and do what they do. No, they're not. Actually, they are not. I've been doing this thing a long, long time, man. And they are not. Let me read Pioneer's comment. What's up, my friend? Let me read his comment. A lot of these people aren't really producing anything. They aren't making cars or inventing medicine or building houses. They make their money shouting and drawing a lot of attention to a problem. That's true. That is a true statement. Some of them do that. I don't go into the situations to make money off these people. I go in, and that's why I'm very choosy about whatever I decide to stand, whatever I decide to stand for, the people I stand with, it has to be genuine. It just has to. It has to be genuine. I don't have the time to play the game. I don't. But for those that are out there playing the game, when you get exposed, don't be mad. Don't be mad. Don't try to justify it then, because how can you raise money for somebody's child and not even know them? And then when you get busted, you come back and say, well, I was going to do this and do that. But you're saying I raised, let's just say you raised $50,000, but who's to say you didn't raise $250,000? If you were going to do that from the gate, you contact the family from the gate. You get the blessings of the family before you get out there and you raise one penny. That's what needs to happen. Like the Bobby Charles murder up in New Iberia, Louisiana. I went down there when they were marching and protesting, and one of the guys that was, doing, in charge of all that, I got wind that they were playing the GoFundMe game. I personally called him. Dude, are you really using this kid's murder to build a GoFundMe so you can get the money? No, I wouldn't do that. I said, well, let me tell you something. If I find out that's what you're doing, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem. Well, let's just say that this man has left the state of Louisiana and nobody knows where he is. But, it had nothing to do with me, but that's what happened. So a lot of these people out here raising money in the name of these dead people, and they're not doing it in good faith. They're realistically not doing it in good faith. So I think that activists should be paid, because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy, mental energy, to do what we do. So I'm very picky about situations that I put myself in with activism, because I don't want anybody to get upset saying that I did it for the money. So I created me a LLC, and I'm an advocacy agency, so people can contact me. We sit down, we talk, we work it out, and I represent them to the fullest. So automatically, and here's the thing, and I've had people end up with multi-million dollars and blah, 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 after it was all said and done. But our contract stated that you owed me this amount. So that's the only thing that I was looking for, is what we agreed upon. You see what I'm saying? And if they want to bless me later on, that's totally different. But I'm not going to get out here and raise money in the name of somebody's dead family member. And then when I get busted, act like I was really trying to reach out to you. Come on, man. It ain't that hard. When you are who you are some days, it ain't that hard to reach out to nobody. It really ain't. So I'm going to read Pioneer's comments. Let's read this first one. A lot of these people aren't really producing anything. Yeah, we read that comment. Okay, so I hit the wrong one. 5-star, you're doing it from the heart. If you do it from a hospital bed, you're doing it from the shoulders. But some of these clowns are just looking for an excuse to start a GoFundMe and get a grant. Well, it's just funny you say that if you do it from the hospital bed, because I've done it from the hospital bed. When I should have been focusing on me, worrying about whether my blood pressure was through the roof. Should I take this breathing treatment? I was still advocating for people. But that's just the way that I'm built. And I don't expect everybody to be built like that. And, you know, I think that most of them are actually just waiting for the opportunity to start a GoFundMe, just like he said. Because if you put the right issue out, the right one, that GoFundMe could end up generating millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. And when it's all said and done, did you help the family or did you just line your pockets? So am I mad at Sean King if he lives in that big old house? No, not at all. Do your thing, bro. Am I mad because he may have raised money in Tamir's name without his mom's knowledge? You damn right that's a problem with me. That is a problem for me. That is a problem for me because it shouldn't have been done. You shouldn't have to come back and apologize for it and try to clean it up, because that should not have been done. And for all of y'all that's still out there in the activism world, don't do that. That should not have been done. Have they done it to others? Yes. Alan Guidry said they're hustling money off dead folks with them foundations is just wrong and bad karma, but activists should be paid. And I agree with it. Activists should be paid. And the thing is what are you worth? See, most of them take the assignments pro bono. And then if they can pop that GoFundMe off, then they see the numbers. You see what I'm saying? They get to see them numbers daily. Daily, they get to see those numbers. And then from now, it's on, bro. It's on, bro. I don't give a damn what a GoFundMe do. If you sign that contract with me and we have an agreement, that's it. Now, if you want to come back later, like I say, and bless me, that's your business, but you're not required to. So if you can set up a GoFundMe, what stops you from setting up a LLC? What stops you from doing the right way? What stops you from doing it the right way? Dr. Nimnum said, I heard Cornell getting them 6 figures. And Abrevia Miller has put out, she should apologize, but also give some profits to his mother. That's the right thing to do. Pioneer says, I can see why a good activist should be paid. They're essential as an attorney for a person or a cause. and they are spokesmen for the family groups and the issues. And activism sometimes require you to be on call 24/7, especially if you're dealing with a family issue. If you're dealing with a family losing a loved one, you're almost on call 24/7. Your phone can ring at the night and day. It is what it is. So I think that they should be paid. I think that, you need to figure that out, how you're going to do it. But he's not the first one. Let's look at Black Lives Matter. What has Black Lives Matter done for the Black community? And they've generated billions. And now you got some of the founders with 3 or 4 big ass houses and properties and fly cars. But is that, people, and you people out there giving your money to these causes, you should really research these causes, man, because some of these people are not genuine. These people are making tons of money. Hold on. I got a text, and it's in regards to this. Let's look at it. Somebody told me when King raised that money, it was right after he lost the contract from Tom Joyner show. He was coming on as a commentary speaker. Black Lives Matter has raised tons of money. And it has not gone, or what I can't say it has not gone. What I'll say is we have to look at the fact that a lot of those billions have not done anything for the African American community. It hasn't done anything. So should we continue giving money to this organization who is realistically spearheaded by people that are not African American? How are you going to help us with our social issues, social justice issues, when you're not an African American? You don't really understand our plight. So people need to wake up and understand that everybody is not in this thing for the right reasons. And Black Lives Matter is something I never got behind. And Pioneer said Black Lives Matter wasn't designed to help the Black people. They are a smoking screen designed to promote the alphabet agenda disguised as a civil rights organization. They co-opt local grassroots organizations. I've said it 1,000 times. I never liked the way that it was structured, the way that it was built. The message was a good message. But when you started looking at what was really going on with these people, how these protests were set up, that didn't attract me. That you've never seen me with a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, never seen me with a flag, none of that. See, because I can smell BS from a mile away. From a mile away, I can smell BS. There's no question about me being able to decipher if it was good or not. So when I'm looking at the communities, like when it happened to George and the community came together, they were out there feeding people and blah, 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 blah. Why couldn't Black Lives Matter come through with some of the money that they had gotten and buy food to have out there, to give away, clothes for the community, all this? I never saw it done in Minneapolis. Not Black Lives Matter. I saw the community get together and do it. I saw organizations in the community do that, but not Black Lives Matter. But people want to jump in the middle of the parade and be a rodeo clown with Black Lives Matter. And then once, when a cop wrongfully kills somebody, what turned my stomach the most when I saw all the Black Lives Matter protesters in certain cities taking a knee with the police. And, well, hold on a second, man. We ain't even figured out what's really going on. You can't get to fraternizing with the enemy until you decipher what's going on. So Black Lives Matter was never something that I wanted to be a part of. If I had to do my part, I would do it in my way, on my terms. But I didn't need Black Lives Matter who popped up out of nowhere. Pioneer said, I remember going to a Black Lives Matter meeting set up by Alicia Garza, a founder of Black Lives Matter. And when it came to the question and answer session, she ignored me and every other black man who stood up to ask the question. They normally do, because they don't know what you're going to ask, but they know that you're not buying into the propaganda. So when it looks like you're not buying into the propaganda, they're not going to ask the questions. I've had that happen in school board meetings, in the community. They'll just try to fly over my question. I mean, some activists are consultants, but that's why I said earlier, Penelope, if they're going to be consultants and advocates, why not just get you an LLC and start your company? So when they come to you, they already know it's a fee involved. You see what I'm saying? But when you put that fee on your back, that means you can't go back and try to charge these people for something else. That's why the GoFundMe is so important. You feel what I'm saying? Let's look at Benjamin Crump. How many of these families GoFundMe that he controlled 100% of, and he got 100% of the GoFundMes? 100% of the GoFundMes. George's GoFundMe, last time I checked, was over 40 million. Mr. Crump, do you control that GoFundMe 100%? I know you wouldn't want to get into a debate with me. Pioneer, he's very active tonight, y'all. He says 5-star laugh out loud. They can tell. They can tell by the look on your face. You have some questions for them, and that they don't even want to talk about, let alone answer. They want fools for followers. Exactly. They're not going to ask you the questions because they can look in your face and tell you calling bullshit. They can tell. You see what I'm saying? They can tell. So they already know. I don't need to ask Pioneer no question. They might ask anything. You see what I'm saying? So I think that the best thing for them to do is to start an LLC, open up a consulting firm, and it is what it is. Alan Gilliard say they want young fools, not experienced, mature adults. And I believe that to be true. As I've traveled and I've dealt with several groups all across the country, they're mostly spearheaded by young progressives. And they don't listen. You can't tell them nothing. They know everything and don't know nothing. So these are the people that they want. But if you standing on a corner every day for 2 weeks, protesting night in, night out, at least he could buy a barbecue pit. At least they could have some water out there. But the community is bringing everything. The community is bringing everything. But the actual organization, the Black Lives Matter, they bring nothing. When you go to a Black Lives Matter protest, who's in charge? I'm in downtown Minneapolis. Massive protest, thousands of people. Who's in charge? You see what I'm saying? And I think that's one reason that the whole movement hasn't been shut down, because they really can't pinpoint who's in charge. When you reach out to them or you touch bases with them, or I'm not with the organization anymore. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we have to realistically look at these people that are standing out there in front of these issues, and we got to do, quote unquote, some hood checks on them. Abrevia says, so basically they want you to be ignorant. No doubt. Terrell Phillips, do the research. It's all there. It's all, first of all, I wouldn't even sign the contract. I've said this 1,000 times on this show. I wouldn't even sign the contract that Ben Crump had. Somebody got killed in my family. I'm not signing that contract. Tamir Rice was on here, and Samira fired Ben Crump because he wanted her not to be the angry black mom. He wanted her to be passive. He wanted her to go out there and say, can we all get along? That ain't how she do it. That ain't how Tamir Rice get down. So she, at the end of the day, fired Ben Crump. Because think about it. You're trying to get a settlement. Somebody died. You're trying to get a settlement. They died wrongfully. And all of a sudden, you have to pay all these bills that Crump had. The flights with him and all of his people. This entourage that he has. The hotel fees, the food. All of this shit, man. You're going to pay for all this. This is not counting his actual advocacy work. Because he is a licensed, what's the term I can use? The type of attorney Crump is, they deal with accidents. He's not licensed. When the last time you saw him in the courtroom? He's not licensed to fight those types of cases. He's not licensed in the state of Minnesota to go into the courtroom. So when they were battling in the courtroom, Mr. Crump was in a side room with the family. So hold on a second. So you telling me that this man is nothing more than an activist like you, Mr. Monroe? Exactly. Nothing more than an advocate like you, Mr. Monroe? Exactly. But they know if he shows up, to me, ambulance chasing. If he shows up, then the cameras are going to show up. So the attorneys in these cities that end up with Crump, you're paying him just to show up. That's money that could go to the family. You get a $6 million settlement, but when it's all said and done, you only get 1.5 million because the attorneys and this advocate that you got at least 3.5 million of the 6 million. You see what I'm saying? And then the other parent got $1 million. So do the math, 3.5 million, right? The other parent got $1 million, that's 4.5. But you end up with 1.5. You see what I'm saying? Some people abbreviate, he says, so Crump wants his clients to be quiet and shut up and let him do all the talking. Exactly. So here's the thing. Does it behoove a parent to have him involved? Is it better for him to be involved? Yeah, if you're chasing a settlement. Yes, if you're chasing a settlement. So that's why I'm saying, you know, if Crump can be paid, I think that all activists should be paid. He just has more star power to bring out more national and international media. Because there are a lot of cases that, you know, I could have seen him on, but he didn't even reach out to them families. The same thing with Lee Merritt. There are a lot of cases that he could have reached out on to the families, but it wasn't a big enough case, or it didn't have the ability or maybe the potential to get a lot of money from. That's why I just think that they are not worth dealing with. Now, you know, Lee Merritt is actually running for Attorney General of the state of Texas. You know, we have Ken Paxton. A lot of people want Ken gone. Lee Merritt is running, and people have asked me, will you support Lee Merritt? No, I won't. I don't support you because you're an African American. I support you because you're qualified. You see what I'm saying? I support you because you're qualified. And I don't think that he's done a good job of looking out for the African American community. You know, and at the end of the day, if that's the case, I have a right to say, well, I won't support him. I'm not going to drag him for running. He has every right to run. If that's what he believes and he thinks he can do a good job, he needs to run. But Gary Monroe's not going to support him. When you were supporting the community, I felt you dropped the ball. So now you would have to, you know, represent all Texans. And I don't think that you would be the right representation. That's just me. Honestly, that's how I feel. And trust me, I support black politicians. I support white politicians, all of that. But this particular guy, no matter what his race may be, Lee Merritt, I would not support him. And that's just me. Would I support some of the blacks that are running for governors? Yes. But I wouldn't support him. I think Lee Merritt and Crump are two of the same people in different bodies. They look for the black cause to generate money off of. You feel what I'm saying? They look for the demise of black people, the murders and blah, 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 blah. It is what it is, but I just don't believe that they've done enough. Well, how much do they need to do? More than what they're doing. Pioneer says, let's go back and read some of these comments, y'all, because y'all have been very active tonight. Alan Guillory says, Black Lives Matter is not modern 1966 Black Panther organization. They're running a gay agenda. Sharon Thomas says, sad shame. Pioneer says, the church lady, TM salute, peace, and good evening, love. Jeffrey McFarland said, all activists should be paid. Alan Guillory, Crump is no Johnny Cochran, nowhere near. Nowhere near. He wants to be, but he's definitely not Johnny Cochran. Penelope Pitstop says, Ben Crump's supposed to get paid. He's now working with George Clinton to help him get the rights and publishing back. That ain't his arena. Music law is totally different than what he's doing. No, what he's doing is he's standing there with the actual music attorney, and he just bringing a spotlight on it. Aaron Goodman said, and let's not forget about the PPP loan that he got after George Floyd case. Almeida Dent, licensed injury attorney. Exactly. He's not licensed to go into those courtrooms and do the things that a regular attorney would do in those matters. Church lady, me too, Pioneer. The Pioneer says Crump is very intelligent and he doesn't have a lot of charisma and doesn't have the ability to draw enough attention or mobilize enough people. He should stay in the legal arena. And Penelope says, I now rock with Crump. He's helping my favorite Uncle George Clinton get all his money that was owed from his music. I feel you. But he's not doing that. I'm trying to tell you. Music law, just like Alan Guillory say, is a gangster. He ain't doing that. He's standing there. And see, that's what I'm saying. You already paying an attorney 33.3% of whatever the settlement may be. And now on top of that, you got to pay Crump's fee also. You're not just paying Crump, you're paying that whole team he runs around with. You see what I'm saying? You're paying that whole team. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I don't believe so. Well, I tell you what, man, tomorrow night is going down. You've heard a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people are upset with State Representative Harold Dutton. And they're saying Dutton is selling out the community and he's not fighting for black people. Well, guess what? Tomorrow night, Harold Dutton will be on the war zone. Not the war zone, but dirty politics on Wednesday. I'm getting there, y'all. State Representative Harold Dutton, who's not in D.C., will be live on Dirty Politics tomorrow night with me, my good friend Aubrey Taylor, and Chuck Moore. And for y'all that want to get mad, get mad. It's a reason I'm the best in the business, man. They call me the OG, baby. Every night, 7 o'clock, YouTube and Facebook, it's the war zone. And I'm the 5-star general. Tomorrow night, State Rep Harold Dutton live on Dirty Politics. Let's go, baby. Y'all have a good night.